our guest speaker today. Okay, so welcome. Everybody's with me, and I'm happy that I'm feeling so much better. I apologize. I was just so out of it last time we met. So this is the case. Today is Monday. What I'm going to do is go over our study guide. I want you to do well on the exam. Our first exam, I want you to be prepared with. We get all that technology terms down. And then the second half of the semester, we're going to be working on our projects that you will be AI consultants. And you'll pick a certain field, whether it's finance, marketing, mental health, you choose, and we go for it. And we actually are going to apply even more software. And I just think it's fantastic. So I'm going to do the study guide. I'll go over it with you. This Wednesday, we will not have class. So those of you that need to meet in your groups, you can use this period of the Wednesday to meet if you need to. Okay? So we also at 5:30, I have invited the director of security for the University of Miami to come in, Brooke, and have a conversation with us. We ask all the questions, everything you needed to know about security at the University of Miami. In my opinion, Brooke, they hide themselves somewhere and they should be more transparent. Let us know what's happening. We don't want to be insecure. So in this case, um, she's going to be coming in, and she was gracious to come in the last class, and guess what, after hours she's coming in for us. So I'm just so appreciative. So we'll have her, and then we'll have all our cameras on with her, and we'll just do an open conversation. I'll ask her questions, she'll respond, she'll talk about security, and you guys can talk about how we all can be safe and how you can be safe on your phones. Also, you guys can figure out, why is all this authentication? Why do I need to put in numbers every time I go to another app, to another Blackboard versus, Canelink? But you can share that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. I am seeing all of us, and now I'm going to go to my content. I'm in section J, and what do we do all the time? We go to what's due. So I go to what's due here, and I saw before I had my AI Power Research Assistant assignment where we use Notebook LM, and now I have a week from today, I have you do it as a group reflection. What's nice about that is in a group reflection, you can, we went over that already, right? So you know that that's due on Monday, the 6th, on this Wednesday, there's no class. And then on Wednesday of next week, we meet in person. Isn't that great? We meet in person, and I go to PowerPoint and documents. So you can know you have to go to PowerPoint and documents, and you see here the exam. The exam will take place in the School of Business, room 204 PC Lab. If you don't know where it is, I suggest you look at it before that day. The exam will be in person. It's going to be proctored by myself and Lily, your great TA. And what I suggest is that you arrive at 5 in this case. What's nice about art, this section, is we don't have to be rushed out. If you need extra time, let Lily know when you do it, and you'll be able to have your time. This exam, just so you know, I always say in class, we can use open everything for the exam. It's closed notes, closed book, closed AI software, and you need to bring a picture ID. Again, authentication. I need to authenticate you that you are who you are. So you'll bring a cane card or a government ID. You need to bring a laptop. Why do you need to bring a laptop, Anastasia? Why do you think?
I think maybe like for login purposes.
We're going to be using the computers in the lab. Why am I asking you to bring also your laptop with Respondus?
I actually don't know.
Okay. Anybody else? Kristen, you have any idea? Why would I ask you to bring your laptop if there are going to be computers in the lab? Kristen, have we ever had any issues
Is
in
it
this
because
class?
like we're taking the exam on Respondus on our laptops?
No, because we're going to be taking our exam, Anesthesia, on the computers in the lab. But guess what? Could those computers possibly not work? Anesthesia.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, for sure. And then you're stuck, and then we're saying, oh, that computer. And then we have 40 students in the class, right? And there's not enough computers. So what do you want to do? In case it doesn't work, you can quickly whip out your laptop and you don't have to waste your time finding respondents. You're ready to go. Okay? Everybody with me. So the exam is two parts. One is multiple choice, just like the quizzes, and the other part is going to be open-ended questions, around up to three questions. And this is the review study guide. I will next Monday go in more detail with you. So you can use this for a study guide until next Monday. Do anything you want. You can study however you want. You can use all the tools. If you like, Anastasia, if you like that Notebook LM, you can use Notebook LM. You want ChatGPT, I don't care. You prepare how you want, but it's what? Closed book. So, and closed notes, closed AI software, it's on your own. What I've done is I put in the chapters by chapter. These are some of the topics that I'll be asking you on the multiple choice. Besides just the definitions, you need to know examples. So on data versus information versus knowledge, and we were talking about a university student, what's the difference? And it was on test scores, what would be the difference on data versus information and knowledge? So these are the terms there. Hardware, we've talked about it. Software, we talked about it. You need to know all the different operating systems that we have, right? We talked about Mac OS, we talked about Windows, we talked about Android, we talked about iOS, we talked about Linux, we talk about Chrome, right? You need to know all of those. Data, all the ideas of data governance and data of primary and secondary key, the databases, right? Chapter 4, security, difference between exposures, threats, and vulnerabilities, anything about, and then we talked about phishing attacks, spyware, all the different, secure lock letters, HTTP, least privilege. Remember, we're talking about risk management, risk analysis, mitigation. We need to use controls. And this is on the first multiple choice, 60 questions. Everybody with me? Brooke, is okay? So these are basically, and what you can do is you can go over your quizzes. You still have open, if you go to your grade book, you can go over your quizzes that you did. You can go over also, even in Notebook LM, it can do, study guides also, and it can do Quizlets. Then the second part is open-ended questions. I give you multiple choice. I give you open-ended. They're in two separate tests. You can decide then, Zara, you can decide which you want to do. You want to start with the multiple choice, you start with the open-ended, or vice versa, but you can't go back and forth. So if you start with open-ended, you finish your open-ended questions, then you go to multiple choice. You want to start with multiple choice, you go back to your multiple choice. These are sample questions, and I will choose from these questions. So when you think about it, Kristen, there's so much information in this class, right? It's tremendous. I think it's only fair to narrow it down for you. And then you say, hey, if I study this and I'm a good student and I study this, then I know that it won't be on quantum computing or something like that you can study. I just think, and it gives you an idea. And also, once you start studying a lot of this, it will help you on the multiple choice as well. Kind of they go hand in hand. So and Lily, you'll tell me when Karina comes in, right? Yes, Lily?
Yes, I'm monitoring the.
Yeah, so monitor it when she comes in. So you can see the first one is on digital security, how to improve it, right? How to help secure digital information. The second one is on our assignments, talk about local recordings versus cloud recordings. If you think about it, it's almost in this way. You think about it, Adam, right? It almost seems like second nature when I say basically a local recording versus a cloud, right? Benefits of YouTube live streaming features. The third one is about using Zoom, using screen recorders, what factors would influence your decision. The fourth one, we talk about databases, right? Fields, records, data file databases, and data management systems. And think about an example like a university student class database. How would you arrange it? What fields would be essential? Which field should act as the primary key? Explain why the primary key is important. Number 5, we talk about data governance. Do you see that, Connor? And basically data governance in ways that you want to protect the student and the research data at the university. You want to talk about the 2-step process, the difference between authentication and authorization. We want to talk about that principle about least privilege. You remember, based on users to do their task, I want you to be able to do your job, but I don't want to give you more privilege than you need. And notice I give you different privileges for the regular class versus the audit class, and then give examples about that least privilege, and also state what are possible negative consequences if we didn't follow that least privilege. 6, we talk about the differences between threat, exposures, and vulnerabilities, talk about risk management, risk analysis, at least 2 specific examples that we're talking about. Number 7, we'll talk about utilizing AI-powered research assistants like we did with Notebook LN. How did it improve? Explain the benefits for business outside of educational. We know for students it would be useful. How could it be used for businesses as well? Or if you worked in a business, where do you think the technology is going in the future? What improvements? And discuss the most pressing or ethical concerns. Because I think there's always a trade-off, right? I think it's really important to talk about the idea of what are the risks, what are ethical concerns. A lot of times people are saying all that AI, we forget to think, right? So what's it doing to our brain? I think also a lot of times when AI is helping us write, right, we don't develop writing skills. It's almost the same thing when physicians are using a lot of AI. They don't know how to examine a patient well. It's the same idea. And then we talked about application program interface and API. And you remember we talked about the ideas that they combine together. So when you log into Blackboard, what did we do, Adam? You logged into Zoom. Zoom is a separate product. You logged into the Zoom meeting. There has to be some API between Blackboard and Zoom. Remember? And then when you're in Blackboard, you went into Wiley Plus. And when you took a quiz in Wiley Plus, what happened? Your grade in Wiley Plus went back to the grade book in Blackboard. And it's the same thing with YouTube, right? We went from Blackboard, we were able to do a YouTube live stream, right, Adam? And then once we did that, we didn't have to go out of Blackboard. We could remain, but still do the YouTube. When we take attendance, we use another program called Quickly. Lily implements the attendance, you take the attendance, but what? That attendance, you take it through Blackboard, but it's another program, and your attendance record goes back to Blackboard for your participation. How it works together. That is your study guide. Any questions, comments that anyone has for me? You can unmic yourself and ask me about how it works, our test. So now everybody understands why I want you to bring your laptop is for, right, Anastasia? It's for what? For people to have a backup in case those computers, I have an issue, that computer doesn't work, that computer doesn't have respondents, that computer doesn't have internet access. You can just bring your laptop out of your bag and you can run your.
Hi, Professor, she's here.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, you can put me on to the spotlight. So, hi, Karina. This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
my second class. We were just discussing security issues, and I said, who's better to come and tell us about security is the queen of security for the university. So I do appreciate you coming to talk to us. And what I'd like you to do, Karina, is introduce yourself to us and